Hey guys, this is going to be a new video because we're going into a new chapter. This is called Rulers with Iron Fists, and in this video, it's going to be a little shorter probably. We're going to do three things. I want to define what iron fists mean. I want to introduce rulers of the 1930s and 40s, and you'll recognize some of them. Then I want to answer this question: why are there rulers with iron fists? Why do they even come up in the 1930s and 40s? They don't just come up out of the blue, out of nowhere. There's reasons for them coming about, and we're going to go over that. All right, Chapter 13, Rulers with Iron Fists. So what this means is, it is to rule over a country in a strict, harsh, and controlling way. And some examples of that include totalitarian regimes and dictatorships. Now, a ruler with an iron fist, if you think about like your fist, what do you use a fist for? Well, it's probably to punch something or probably to hit something. And with that comes ideas of like violence and aggression, power. And if you think about an iron fist, it just means all the more violent and power and strict and being strict and having control. It's kind of what an iron fist means. And sometimes, probably really all the time, it's going to be very harsh. And so a person who is a ruler with an iron fist, they have what's called a totalitarian regime, usually. And what that means is they have total power. Means whatever they want to do is going to become law, or it's going to be what the country does. They have total power, and they can do whatever they think is necessary. And you can understand that because in this word is total, meaning all, and they just have all the power or the total power. And the people that have that kind of power are dictators who are in dictatorships. And a dictator is, again, somebody who has total power. In dictatorships, they don't have something like a Senate or a House of Representatives like the United States does. All the power is within one man or one person or one woman. And a dictator is just kind of like whatever they say becomes law. Whatever they say goes. All right. Some examples of dictators or totalitarian governments. One is Joseph Stalin. He is the leader of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, or the USSR, which is present-day Russia. And when we talk about Joseph Stalin, there's going to be this important word called communism. I don't like the way the book talks about it. I take that back. The way the book uses communism is fine in the context of Joseph Stalin, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. I'm going to talk a little bit more than what the book says, because I want you to have a more thorough understanding of what this word is. All right. Another example of a ruler with an iron fist is Benito Mussolini, and he is the ruler of Italy. And again, a key term that we're going to talk about with him is this word called fascism. Again, I don't really like the way the book uses this, so I'm gonna talk about it in the way that the book talks about, but also I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. I want you to have a little bit more thorough understanding of what this word is. And then finally, the one that everybody knows is Adolf Hitler. He becomes the leader of Germany. And if you notice, all of these men, these are all rulers during World War II, which I know a lot of you guys are kind of interested in learning about. So this is kind of like the beginning of World War II, because we're understanding the leaders are of those nations that fight in World War II. And again, some key terms to associate with Adolf Hitler is Nazism or National Socialism. I don't think the book talks about this word, but I'm gonna discuss it a little bit, just so you have a more thorough understanding of what that is. All right, so now the last part, which is going back to the question, why are there rulers with iron fists in the first place? Why are they even there? Why are they even in the picture? I kind of wrote an answer. Kind of goes along with the book, but I'll kind of read it and then explain it a little bit. All right, so why? After World War I, Germany, Italy, and Russia had many problems in their governments, economies, and their people. This allowed leaders to make promises to make their countries great, help the suffering, and defeat their enemies harshly and seize power. So if you think about Germany, for example, I think I talked about this a little bit in another video, but after World War I, Germany was very harshly punished for their actions in World War I. They were blamed for the fighting. They had to pay for the cost or for the damages in World War I, which was like millions or billions of dollars. Their military was reduced by a lot, which hurt Germany because they took great pride in their military. They had to give up some of their land that Germany had. They had to give it back to France, who was their enemy. So basically, Germany went from this great nation, and now they were kind of reduced to a kind of a very weak country. Their economy was really bad, and the Great Depression actually affected Germany as well, because Germany would Germany would, in a way, would benefit from other countries' economies. And when the Great Depression hit, it affected other countries as well. But Germany, their economy was not doing well. Their government wasn't that strong. People were poor. All this stuff, and that allowed somebody like Adolf Hitler. He would come around and said, "You know what? I'm going to solve these problems. I'm going to make Germany the great power that it once was," and that allowed him to seize power. And of course, he eliminated all of his opponents in government. He killed a lot of people. Like if you're familiar with the Holocaust, he killed millions of Jews and Gypsies and Polish and some other types. That is an example of a dictatorship or a ruler with an iron fist. He rules very strictly and harshly and controls everything. Same thing can be said of Russia. They had hard times after World War I, and Italy had hard times as well, in their economies and their governments as well. And that allowed people like Stalin and Mussolini and Hitler, to kind of seize power and make all these great promises and to ease the suffering of their people and to make their countries a great power. All right, so on the next videos, we'll get into more specifically of each one of these three, and then we'll kind of move on into World War II. All right, see you later.